What is going on, Masters of Unova channel? I am Master Golurk of the Masters of Unova here today with my Seismitoad Garbodor Mewtwo deck profile. So, first things first, for Seismitoad EX Full Art. You use Seismitoad for his first attack, Quaking Punch, which for a DCE does 30 damage, and your opponent can't play item cards during their next turn. So really good shut off in the early game. You can start getting item lock second turn, which you've never really been able to do before. Take a moment to observe the beautiful Secret Rare Rocky helmet in the background. Anyways, next Pokemon, 2, Mewtwo EX. He's a really good finishing endgame attacker because he can hit really hard. X-Ball does a lot, and a lot of things are weak to Psychic in the format right now. One Reshiram, in case you run into a Vrizzy and Genesect matchup, because they're weak to Fire, and Outrage can do a pretty good amount for the DCE if you get him damaged enough. And then the other crucial component of the deck, 2 Garbodor, of course 2 Trubbish, but also the main thing you want Trubbish for is Garbodor. Garbodor has Garbatoxin, so if you have a tool, it shuts down any abilities of your opponents. Pyroar is gone. Pyroar is essentially useless. Blastoise is useless. Keldeo is useless. It's really nice. Eviltal decks don't have Darkrai to rely on anymore, which is good. Finally, when you can't get Garbodor set up enough, and you end up getting affected by a lot of status conditions, you can use Keldeo EX with Russian. I play one of these just because it's a handy thing to have early on in the game when you don't have a Garbodor set up yet. So that was all the Pokemon. There's only 12 in this deck. I try to run pretty concise lists of 12 Pokemon and 12 energies max, sometimes less. One Life Dew is my A spec because I like to slow the game down a little bit. Even though I do like to take people down quickly, I also like to not get beaten that quickly, and this is an EX heavy deck. So you'll get prizes taken. Your opponent will take their prizes pretty quick, especially if you're against a Vrizzy and Genesect matchup. 4 Ns for the supporters. This is just a standard card in every deck. Really good, especially in this deck. Finally got 4 reverse hollows, so I can play them all in one deck, which is really nice. Again, another staple in every deck, 4 Professor Juniper. Every deck in the format plays these pretty much. Either that or Sycamore. Really good in the beginning of the game, speeds things up really fast, and you can get prizes drawn quickly, and you can get set up quickly. 1 Lysander to switch in case of emergency, because you can get that last hit out in the game to get your final 2 prizes, or just a really good knockout that'll gain you the advantage. 1 Teammates. After you get knocked out, you can search for any 2 cards and just play them. So that's really good. Helps you set up after a knockout, recover from it, and boost yourself on forwards. Jeez. 1 Lysander's trump card. Good reset for the deck and counter to Night March. Always good to have. For the items, 4 Ultra Balls to get your Pokemon set up. You're going to need them for Garbodor, and especially Seismitoad if you don't get one in the beginning of the game. Those are crucial for this deck. They are the bread and butter. 4 Hypnotoxic Lasers, because you can poison and confuse your opponent. Really good. Get some extra damage, because 30 from Seismitoad is not usually enough to take things out. One of my favorite cards in a new format, Versus Seeker. I run 4 of them, because then you can just discard any supporter with an Ultra Ball if you need to, and then Versus Seeker it back into your hand. Reuse things you already used, like Lysander and Trump cards. And you run 4 Versus Seeker because you can get back anything you need, and that's why we only have 1 of supporter lines, because you can retrieve whatever you lose. 3 Acrobikes to gain some speed in the deck, get things you need, discard things that you wanted to discard, like supporters that you can Versus Seeker back. For the tools, 4 Muscle Band, pretty standard in almost every deck in the format. Boost Seismitoad's power up to 50 damage a turn. which actually does make a big difference against some matchups. Negates resistance for Virizion, which is always nice. 3 float stones. Those are 2 of those are for Garbodors, so you can get his Garbotoxin set up. And the 3rd one is for Keldeo, so you can do rushing and retreating when you don't have a Garbodor all set up in play. 2 Professor's Letter, because sometimes you run a little low on energy. And you can always need to find more, especially in this deck because it runs a pretty low energy count. 3 Burbank City Gym RR Stadiums, boost the damage on Hypnotoxic, and get Seismitoad's power up quite a bit. And you can start scoring KOs pretty early on in the game. And finally, we have the Energy. 6 basic water energy. Nothing too special there, just because Seismitoad is the only thing you'd ever really want to use for Grenade Hammer if you really needed it. And of course, 4 DCE, which are the main form of energy you're going to want to use in this deck. This is one of the decks where you'd really want to be able to use 10 if it were illegal, but it's not. So, thank you for watching the Seismitoad deck profile. One last good look at the Seismitoad full art. Thank you for watching. Masters of Unova, please comment, like, and subscribe. Master Golurk signing off.